I love Neroli. So yes, good morning. It is a slightly different video today, but not that different of course, because I'm going to do my morning workout. But we are looking at one note in particular, and that one note is Neroli. Now I have plenty of Neroli fragrances, I have to say. I've had plenty over the years. I've got a few currently in my collection, and I want to kind of put a case forward today. So I'm going to give my reasons as to why I think Neroli is the best note in perfumery at the moment. I want you to let me know whether you agree with me, disagree with me, but also comment as well. Tell me what your favourite note is currently in fragrances. One that you particularly detect whenever you spray it, you go, I can recognise that, there's patchouli in that. I love that, because I'm always looking at fragrances like online on Fragrantica, and if I see Neroli, it certainly piques my interest. So what I'm going to quickly do, before I go into the fragrances I'm going to wear today during my workout, I want to tell you what Neroli is, so we'll go on to that next. I always think it's really hard to describe what the smell of something is. What's the smell of chocolate? Well, it smells like chocolate. How can you really compare it to anything else? But if I had to try and describe what the smell of Neroli is, I kind of get this soft citrus and a slight floral component. But if you had to give me the sort of vibe it gives off, it's bright, it's uplifting, and it just makes you feel good. It reminds you a little bit more of the summer, if I'm being honest with you, rather than those colder winter days. But yeah, if you had to, well, how do they get Neroli in fragrances? Essentially, it's this bitter orange tree, and you get these white blossom flowers on top, and they extract the oil from that to give you that smell of Neroli. Now, what I'm going to do today, I have 3 Neroli fragrances I really wanted to share. I've got a few more, but there's 3 in particular I wanted to do. I'm going to wear one for my sort of workout run this morning. I'm going to wear one walking to the gym, and then wear one at the gym doing my gym workout, and then we'll just essentially go through the reasons as every time you see me. So I've got a few reasons in mind. Again, let me know if you agree or disagree with them. And I'm hoping I'm going to put a strong case forward why I think you should buy some Neroli fragrances. So the first one I'm wearing today is going to be Lush Zesty. Again, it says here, a cheerful blend of refreshing lime and uplifting Neroli to make your day. Now, if I'm being honest, the lime is pretty prominent in this, but it is toned down. That spiciness is toned down, in my opinion, by the Neroli. It gives it that little bit more of a soft edge. So I'm going to spray that one now. And yeah, we'll just talk about my reasons why I love Neroli on my run. So fingers crossed my knee's going to be okay today. And yeah, I'll see you out there. Before I go into the reasons of why I think Neroli is such a nice note in perfumery, I want to talk about Zesty, which I'm obviously wearing on my run. Now, obviously, if you've seen a lot of my videos, you will know Lush body sprays tend to be the ones I review the most. I must have reviewed at least, it feels like 50, but it's probably not quite that many. It's probably in the 30s though. And this one, honestly, if I had to sort of do like a tier list of Lush body sprays, which I will do as a video at some point, this one would honestly be pushing top 5. Sometimes it's even been in my top 3. That's how much I like it, particularly when it's that time of year where you want to wear it. And I think it is because it's so simplistic, but it's so uplifting. Now, I do think the lime here is the real selling point, but I do think that little bit of Neroli just takes off that sharpness that you can get from, like, because lime can be quite bitter and quite spicy almost in its composition, and this one I think is just toned down by that Neroli and just makes this lovely, lovely, easy to wear summer scent. And it kind of then lends on to my first reason why I think Neroli is such a good note of perfumery, and that's because it's literally, to me, bang on, straight down the middle, unisex. Now, there are some notes that you clearly associate being more masculine, more feminine. When you think of leather, you think it's more suited to men. Some of those fruity notes, some musks in particular, you maybe think, oh, they're more feminine and they lean more suitable for women. For me, Neroli doesn't. Neroli literally goes straight down the middle. A nice soapy scent that's not like that old man's, bar of soap. Because of that floral edge to it, it also gives that slight feminine feel, and it's just really nice. It just has that feeling that, again, if you see Neroli in a scent, and if you look at many fragrances these days, they are leaning a little bit more unisex. Even like those vanilla caramel fragrances, they tend to be marketed for men and women. And what I like with Neroli is you don't feel then that you might be buying a scent. If it's Neroli dominant, you don't feel like you're going to be buying a scent where you might think, oh, I smell like a woman, or if you're a woman, I smell like a man. And I think that's important. I think unisex fragrances give you a little bit more options, and also a little bit more versatility in terms of through the year as well, in terms of when you can wear it. So for that reason, because it's very unisex and literally straight down the middle unisex, I think that's a big plus for Neroli. So that is the first point that I'm going to make today. On to the second positive, the second reason I think Neroli is the best note in perfumery. And it kind of links again a little bit to what I said earlier. Now, lime in this one, in Zesty, the fragrance I'm wearing at the moment on my run, is definitely a bit more prominent. It's definitely the most prominent note in this. However, Neroli can also be the dominant note in the fragrance in itself. It can work really well, essentially, in combination with notes and in its own right. And I think that's a big positive. Look, when you think again, we touched on leather a minute ago. Leather, smoky notes, oud. If they're in fragrances, they tend to just basically barge out all the other notes. They're basically saying, I'm the most dominant smell here, I'm going to overpower the other ones. Neroli doesn't do that. Neroli can do that. Neroli can be the selling point. Actus Parma Essenza, Neroli's the prominent one, and Granado Lamel Titi, which you'll see later in this review, Neroli's dominant. That is the main scent you're getting. You're barely getting any of the other smells. But, you know, in this one, Zesty, it's not. It's sitting in the background. It's happy to take a back seat. So what I like is it works so well in combination with many notes. But if it wants to be the standout, if you want it to be the standout, it can be. And that's great. It makes it easy to detect in fragrances. That's what I like. If you don't know the smell of a note sometimes, you might look and go, oh, I don't know what bergamot smells like. It's in all the fragrances, but they all smell so different. Whereas if you get Neroli, you get it as a Neroli forward fragrance, you'll detect it straight away. You'll get that soapy smell. And that really helps when it comes to buying fragrances. Say you like Neroli like I do, you know exactly what it smells like. You can be pretty confident then when you purchase that fragrance that this is going to be one I like. And that was made it so easy for me with some of these Neroli scents I've purchased in recent times. If I see it in it and people say, oh, the Neroli's prominent, I feel pretty confident that I'll be able to detect it straight away. And if I can, I know it's going to be a winner. So it almost saves me money in the sense that I know that I'm getting something I'm probably going to like. So that's another reason I think Neroli works so well in combination with other notes, whether it's in the prominent one or if it's just taking a back seat, it's a winner. So that's the second point I wanted to make. So the third point I want to make, and the third positive of Neroli, is how versatile it is. Now, again, I've had plenty of Neroli fragrances over the years, and honestly, I can't think of many situations where it doesn't feel suitable. Look, I do think it's more of a summer fragrance in general, because when you see Neroli in fragrances, it tends to be mixed with those more citrusy notes that you associate with the spring, summer, warmer weather times. But again, when Neroli is quite prominent, when it's the most dominant note in the fragrance, it does have this class and sophistication about it, that slight floral edge. It gives it a little bit more of a grown-up feel, grown-up vibe. And I can tell you now, I've worn this as a signature scent. I've worn Neroli on networking events. I've worn them on occasions when I'm trying to impress someone. And for things like job interviews and driving tests and all those things where you might be under a bit of pressure, it's got that bright, uplifting feel that still feels classy and sophisticated, that, yeah, might just leave a good impression, whether that's to help calm you down under pressure or for someone to remember you by. But also on the flip side, when it's sitting in the background, so again, wearing Zesty on this run, I'm happily wear this to the gym. In fact, I sort of wish I put this one on for the gym actually, because the two ones that I'm wearing later, the two Neroli fragrances I'm wearing later, they are that little bit more Neroli dominant, Neroli forward, and they'd feel better for a bit more of a dress-up occasion. But they won't feel wrong. There'll never be a situation, regardless of how prominent Neroli is in a fragrance, where it's going to feel wrong. And that's what I absolutely love about it. Dress up, dress down, different ages, different occasions, different seasons. And what that means is if you just want one scent for your collection, Neroli's a great note to look at, and you don't have to go and buy 60, 70, 80 fragrances, or feel like you buy a summer fragrance and think, oh, I need something a bit sweeter for the winter. If you want this to be something that people remember you by, it can do it all. It's not a blue fragrance, but I think it's just got as much versatility in Neroli as a note than some of those other ones that you associate with blue fragrances, you know, your Ambroxan, your ISO E Super. I think Neroli, being a more natural one, is more of a natural option that gives you that same versatility, and I think that's a huge plus of why I love Neroli. Fourth point, and the last point I'm going to make during my run today, is its mood enhancing properties. I think it's got the potential to enhance your mood, and the way it does it I think is twofold. I've said this before, when you dress like me, look at me, I've got a hood and a hat on, I'm wearing scruffy rubbing clothes, and obviously with that you feel a little bit dirty because I'm getting hot and sweaty. I'm not maybe dressing as nicely or worrying about things like my hair particularly. And what I think this one does is sometimes if you work on something like a scent, or you wash your hair, or you just pamper yourself essentially, there's no two ways about it, that makes you feel better. And if you put a Neroli Forward fragrance on, that element of quality and sophistication that it brings just makes you feel better. It makes you feel like you're looking after yourself a little bit more, and that makes you feel better. But also, I think in general, when you think of summer scents, or those more soapy, citrus, bright smells, they just give you that feeling of being a bit more uplifted and a bit more ready for the day. I absolutely love it when I have a, just a really nice lime, a nice orange citrus scent on, because it makes you feel positive, happy, approachable, and they're never too heavy, so it gives you that feeling of, just feeling fresh and clean, which just makes you feel good. And what I like with that is when I go on holiday, like summer holidays are popular obviously with schools, with families, they give you some good scent memories. You get the scent memory that can come along with that feeling of positivity that you also get supplemented by your fragrance. And Neroli, again, is perfect for that. It just enhances your mood in two different ways: classy, sophisticated, but also relaxing and approachable. Right, I think I need that mood enhancing feeling now, because the rain has just started and I've still got another hour of my run to go. So next time you see me, I'll probably be absolutely soaked. Workout done. That was the best I've felt in days, to be honest. My knees felt fine. Maybe it was the Neroli, but I don't think I can count that as one of the positives, one of the reasons to buy it, and why it's the best note in Perfumery. However, the fifth one I'm going to go for while I apply this is the next fragrance I'm going to use, by the way. This is the Granado Neroli, most expensive one I've got here. I think I paid about £80 for this, but it is a giant 300ml bottle. You can get this in 100ml as well. But you can get it in 300ml, great, because I think it is just an eau de cologne. It's not very strong at all, to be honest with you, but it is just a very high quality, natural soapy Neroli scent. And it's interesting, again, that lime Neroli combination, but Neroli here certainly takes the centre stage, and that's kind of the fifth one I'm going to go on to now. We've spoken about how it takes centre stage, but I also find, because it's so good, so wearable, so easy to pull off, I use it for multiple things, so obviously, as you've just seen, I've sprayed my top. Obviously you wear it as a fragrance, but I use it to spray my room sometimes if I think my room just needs something a little bit fresher. Sometimes just my bed, so my bed's down here, I spray my bed sheets. Makes you feel really nice and relaxed when you go to bed. And also as well, got my bag here. This has got my gym stuff in for tomorrow, and I just spray my bag sometimes. Again, if I've got a work bag, sometimes that can smell a little bit. If I put some spare clothing in there, it just freshens everything up. I spray my car with Neroli, so it's that multiple use. Even after shaving, look, I'm just listing off loads of times I use Neroli after different things, not just literally to smell nice all the time, but to make other things smell nice and help me feel relaxed in different situations. So that's the one I'm wearing for the gym. I chose that one for the gym over the other two, just purely on the fact that it's a little bit lighter. It doesn't last particularly long. It's not going to choke you out doing exercise, getting warm, or anyone else around you. Now, I've got this one here, the Essence Oil 36. This is the Acqua di Parma Colonia clone. I'm not walking off from you, I promise. Here is my gym bag for today. Huge gym bag I take. I'm just going to open that up, and in here is all my clothing for after. So I'm just going to literally spray my top that's in my bag. So when I leave the gym later, I've got a lovely smelling gym bag, and we'll talk about the extra benefits on the way back. But that's number 5. On my walk, I'm going to do the next 3. I'm going to talk about the other benefits, the other good things about Neroli. I'm trying to come up with 10 here, so hopefully I'll think of some more along the way, because this is the best note in Perfumery. Sixth reason I think that Neroli is a fantastic note for Perfumery. This is more for the fragrance enthusiast. You can actually buy a lot of essential Neroli oils online. Now, some people buy that to apply to their skin, but you can get in perfume sets or whatever. If you want to make your own perfumes, you can actually get this as an oil which you can add to make your own fragrance, and I think that's great. It gives you a real good solid base, as we touched upon earlier. It mixes well with many other notes, or it can be a showstopper in its own right. I've had my own perfume kit before, and I believe it had rose, it had oud, and obviously what I did with all of them eventually, I decided I'm just going to mix them all together. And I'll be honest with you, the smell became a little bit bizarre, and you had all these notes completely against each other. What Neroli is great for, if you do buy these own perfume kits, you can really make your own scent, and again, make it really safe. It can be literally your own signature scent. So if someone said to you, "Oh, what are you wearing?" you're actually using genuine, just your own Neroli essential oil fragrance, and that's what's great. Again, I've had plenty of particularly boozy, because I love boozy fragrances, but what they are as a chord, you don't have like a natural rum in it, they don't put booze actually in it, they put a combination of notes together to create that certain smell. Whereas with Neroli, again, if you're making your own kit, and even if you look on the back of the Lush ones where I have Neroli in, it is literally just a natural Neroli essential oil, and I think that's great for anyone that worries about synthetics. It means you're getting a natural product, a high quality product, and one that goes very well in your own perfume making kit. So definitely recommend that. If you find any perfume kits online, see what oils they put in, because again, there's plenty of different ones they normally put, but if Neroli's in it, you've got a good solid base there to make your own signature scent. Apologies, it is very windy today. I think we've got some sort of storm, but at least it's dry. You've got all this blue sky behind me. I think some of the drivers need Neroli today. There's some angry road rage going on when I've been walking around. But let's go on to the next one. Neroli as a gift. I think it's a great note because it's a great gift idea. And because, as we touched upon earlier, Neroli is used in many fragrances. You could really treat, say there's someone you really like, you're really close to, maybe a partner, or a best friend, you could treat them to a high quality Neroli scent. Look, Tom Ford do one, Neroli Portofino. I'm sure if you like your fragrances, you know this one. And it's in their private blend collection. And again, the word Neroli is obviously big in that name, so they know it's a prominent popular note that many people like and appreciate. So for them to put it in a private blend shows how high quality and how sophisticated it can be, and how mass appealing it is. That is one of their popular ones. Again, you may not have had it yourself, but I'm sure you've heard of it, and there's many clones of Neroli Portofino as well. And that's what's great, you don't have to spend a lot of money on good Neroli fragrances. Again, I'm wearing a clone after the gym today, Acqua di Parma Colonia Essenza, that I've had the original, that one, a few times, and it's one of my top 5 of all time. It really is. It's a super scent, and I'd happily pay full price to get that. But if you didn't want to, and you just wanted to get someone a safe gift, because it's not a divisive note, you could get them a cheaper one. You get them a clone fragrance, one of the Lush fragrances, again, Mossy Bottom by Lush is a Shaun the Sheep collaboration. That's got Neroli in as well. So you can get some really good gifts across a range of different price ranges there for someone like a close friend or someone who you don't know too well, and they're going to like it. You're not going to worry, oh, it's a divisive fragrance, they may not like this one. It's pretty safe, pretty easy to wear, and it's a great gift idea for that reason. If you find Neroli in fragrances, I wouldn't worry about buying that for someone. But I think we're on to reason number 8 now, why I think Neroli is the best note in Perfumery. And it's kind of probably more for an enthusiast, this one, but let's talk about layering. Now, sometimes I may layer a fragrance with another one I've got in my collection, so I may layer Neroli with a cheap aquatic scent I've got, hopefully to improve the performance, or maybe just change the smell. I may add a bit of black pepper, and just to give it a slightly more masculine edge. But for some people who are fragrance enthusiasts and they have a scent that they really like, they don't necessarily want a different scent, they want that same smell, they just want it to last a bit longer. And I'd be lying if I said Neroli's the strongest note out there. And they may then go and buy an eccentric molecule fragrance. If you don't know these ones, they do like an ambroxan one, and one with ISOE Super, and essentially they don't particularly have a smell themselves, but if you layer them with a fragrance, hopefully it'll bring out the Neroli, so it'll make it stronger, it'll make your Neroli fragrance last longer. And I think this is a great note to do that. This is one of those scents where if you can elevate it that little bit more, people are going to say good things about it, because we've touched upon the fact it is a mass pleasing scent. And for that reason, I think it's great for layering. I think the other thing I'm going to touch upon, it could have been a positive in its own right, but Neroli tends to be quite a light concentration. When you look at some winter scents and you've got leather in it, you've got oud, the juice in it tends to be quite dark. So if you wanted that bit of extra performance, I tend to find Neroli fragrances are a little bit safer to spray on clothing. Obviously be aware that's just a general rule of thumb. Citrus scents don't tend to be as dark in their juice. It means you can spray them on your clothes and get that extra performance on top of the layering which you may have applied to your skin. So that's a general rule of thumb. I'd still always say spray a little bit further away, and if you're going to spray it on clothing as well to get that extra performance from that Neroli, just do it on darker clothing at a distance, and then you should be absolutely fine. But I think Neroli in its own right is great for layering on skin. It's actually the one thing I do spray on my skin, sometimes even with Vaseline. Yes, I still use Vaseline. If you've got that sort of waxy, oily substance to mix with it, Neroli tends to go quite well. I'm not going to mix it with coffee or anything along those lines, because I think that's a weird combination. But if there's a couple of scents that you think, they're quite easy to pull off, mix them together, maybe a nice orange citrus or a bergamot with this sort of note, it works really well. So number 8 point, Neroli, very good for layering, particularly for fragrance enthusiasts. Honestly, honestly, I literally just opened my gym bag before having a shower, and the smell of the Essence Salt 36, the Acqua di Parma scent, is so prominent. And obviously I can smell it underneath my hood now. It is lovely. If you do know that scent, or you want to explore that fragrance, it's a brilliant Neroli forward fragrance. This clone's a great place to start. You get it for about £25 for 100ml. It's definitely worth it. It's a really good clone. It may not be quite as long lasting, but in that initial blast and in terms of the actual scent, it is great. And that brings me on to my next one then. So number 9, I think Neroli is a note that's going to be around for a long time. Now, but besides the fact I do love Neroli scents, I also do have a good appreciation for retro fragrances, but they can be quite divisive. And one of the things you find with some of those retro fragrances is some of the notes, they're huge note breakdowns normally. Some of the notes you don't really get in fragrances. I think of Carnation, Civitone or Civet. They bring that animatic quality that a lot of people don't want now because they're harsh, aggressive, in your face, and yeah, just not that wearable. They're kind of more of that alpha male types of scents, and let's be honest, fragrances are becoming more unisex, more gourmand, and they were anything but that. Even pine doesn't seem to be used as much now. Neroli though feels like one of those notes that's just going to be around forever. It was in a lot of old school fragrances, and to be honest, it seems to be used just as much now in modern ones. And I just don't think that soapy clean smell which it brings is ever going to be off-putting, ever going to be unpleasant. It's like a suit. I always say this now. People were wearing suits many years ago. Suits still feel very trendy, still feel the big in thing, you know, when you think about dressing up properly. It's never going to change, and I think that's going to be the same with Neroli. It's going to be around for ages. I think essentially it's timeless, and that means you'll always be able to get your favourite scents, and Neroli being a prominent note, if you like that one, like I do, as I think you can probably tell by now, I'm glad. I feel like I'll always be able to get Neroli forward fragrances, and that's because it's a fantastic note in perfumery. Final point I want to make then, and why I think Neroli is the best note in perfumery, is because I think it's good for first. So maybe the last point, but we're talking about first now. Whether it's your first time fragrance, I think a Neroli scent is a great place to start. Whether maybe you're starting a YouTube channel and you want to recommend fragrances, I think they're a great place to start as well, because they're safe, easy to pull off, not as divisive. Or even if it's just a first time meeting someone, whether that's, I said, a first date, job interviews as we touched upon earlier, I think it's a really good one to leave a good first impression. And that's what I find with this. It's timeless, it's relaxing, it's just amazing. It gives you such a nice feeling that it's starting to rain again at the moment, but it just puts you in a good mood. You feel clean, you feel refreshed, and I just think it's great for someone who's wanted to start their fragrance journey. This would certainly be one of the notes I'd be looking at alongside those more, you know, summer citrus type notes. But for me, I don't think you can get better than Neroli, whether it's a cheaper scent or a high quality one. It just is refreshing, uplifting, and it puts you in a good mood, and that's what fragrances should be. They should be putting you in a good mood, make you feel good about yourself, and make other people around you want to get closer to you, and it certainly has done that over the past for me. So yeah, if I had to recommend one, I'd still say Acqua di Parma Ascends is the best. This clone, the Essence Salt 36, is probably my favourite Neroli fragrances, but Lush's website, they have plenty of Neroli fragrances on there. They're not maybe as Neroli prominent, but again, if you just want to explore notes, because they don't have many in them, Lush isn't a bad place to start either. But yeah, I hope I've sort of sold it to you a little bit today, and yeah, definitely recommend buying those ones if you can get any Neroli fragrances, because they are all absolute stunners. Thanks for watching today. Catch you later.